Good morning. It is 11:18 a.m. on Sunday, February 4th, 2018. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I've been up for a little bit. This is 5 more minutes. So I had some good scrambled eggs for breakfast with some homemade pesto in it from with herbs from my arrow garden, which is back there. That was pretty good. But today I'm talking about Ghost in the Shell because it's Sunday and it's part of my rewatch thing. So today we're talking about uh, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, Episode 13, Unequal Terrorist, Not Equal. And this is another standalone episode, so there's no connection to the Laughing Man case. But this is a pretty action-packed episode. It's not one of the thinkier episodes. It's fine, but I just mean it kind of strays away from the meatier material that I think I like the show for the most, compared to last episode, for example, that dealt with a lot of subtext and pondering about what it means to be alive or dead, and telling the truth that would hurt someone versus lying to protect their feelings. The idea of escaping from reality into virtual reality. All of those sorts of things were really kind of brought up and analyzed in a fun way last episode, whereas this one is mostly just kind of a very superficial mystery story, which props up, a little bit of suspense building and then a big, firefight at the end, which is, it's fine. But so the basic premise of this episode is that 16 years prior, there had been the daughter of a pioneering cyberization company. This was it gives us actually a little bit of a timeline, because they're essentially saying that 16 years ago, it was still considered, more unusual to get cyberized, meaning to have the little ports in your neck that allow you to connect your brain directly to the network. Apparently, just 16 years ago, that was still considered something somewhat unusual, and so the whole idea was that the daughter of this CEO did it in order to kind of proof of principle, say, see how safe it is and see how great it is, which is just interesting because I don't know if I don't think we have a direct time of like how long has the major been in her prosthetic body, because of course we know that she was first placed in a prosthetic body as a young girl, but how long ago was that? It's not 100% obvious. And also, of course, the technology is not identical in the sense of being put in a prosthetic body versus having your normal biological body fitted with these cybernetic connections. In any event, this girl was cyberized, but then she was kidnapped by a radical group that was opposed to human cyberization and basically just went off the radar. They never found her. But what has happened recently is that while trying to spy on some various groups, various other security departments found a picture taken just recently that seems to have the girl in it, but the same age that she was 16 years ago, which is strange, right? So they're pretty sure it's her, but they don't know, they can't explain why she doesn't seem to have aged, especially given that, they actually talk through some of the theories, like, for example, she could have been placed in a prosthetic body. It looks like her original one, except that she's supposedly the prisoner of these groups that are completely against cyberization. So that seems unlikely. And then she could be a clone. Well, we can't rule it out. We don't know. And so the team is infiltrating this. In the synopsis, it says that it's an abandoned radiation scrubbing island. The episode itself doesn't really go into what it is exactly, although it clearly has abandoned levels underneath, and then some sort of a thriving little black market up on top that has lots of people living there that don't seem necessarily involved with any of these illicit groups. And in particular, some of them are actually selling, like robotic parts, and a lot of people have primitive prosthetic limbs and so on. There's a vendor that sells cyborg food, which seems to be some sort of a lumpy gray burrito type thing that Bato seems to enjoy. So it's a little bit unclear, this place. Like, what is it exactly? It's the base of operations for this group that is so against cyberization, but it also has a thriving black market and prosthetics and stuff. I don't know. It's all a little bit loosey-goosey, and that's fine because it's an episode of the week. But in any event, they're infiltrating this place. They're looking for the girl. They're also looking for an agent who was part of a 4-person team, the first team that was sent in to look for her, that, basically stopped reporting. And they're getting signals from this guy that seems to be indicating where he is, but he's not responding to their communications. They find him. He's messed up. He's alive, but seems he's acting really shaky and screwy, and he's saying, erase them, erase them. He suggests that the girl is the leader of the group now, and that it was connecting to her that screwed him up. But it's all very, mysterious still. They eventually find this girl that they saw in the photo, along with an old woman. They're arguing about something. They're going to try to take them prisoner, but it becomes obvious that this young girl doesn't have the cyberization ports that we saw, so she can't be or at least it's not the body of the girl who was originally taken, whereas this old woman she's with, who she says is her mother, does have them. So then we get the big firefight. There's lots of, there's no blood per se, but lots of people killed. I guess even there's actually a few little flashes of blood here and there, but lots of action. It's interesting, actually, to kind of see the, I think early on in the episode, we're feeling a little bit like, do they really need the whole team to be physically present in all of those Tachikomas? And what are they expecting to happen? But sure enough, I guess it turns out into this whole firefight where Section 9 basically takes no casualties, but they kill probably 50 plus of these this group. It's not a very subtle operation in that regard. But at the same time, I guess it's all, again, this is not one of the, I think, more well-plotted episodes. But anyway, we got lots of action. The Tachikomas are enjoying the firefight aspect. At one point, they have to, they yell at one of them to remind him. Saito is saying, don't you remember you have a person in your pod? You can't just let them shoot you up like that. But anyway, eventually the answer to the mystery, and the way they leave it mysterious in this case, is that clearly the old woman is the girl. And despite looking easily 50 years older, it's only been 16 years. So something happened to her to make her look so much older. And it becomes kind of implied that the erase them, that the agent was saying is that he basically got exposed to her memories of what had happened to her in that time, and it was so unpleasant that it kind of drove him crazy. So we're left kind of just saying, with a lot of it being the mystery, like, why is the young daughter the leader of the group now? What exactly happened to this girl, the original girl that made her age so much? And the episode really leaves it deliberately with a, well, guess you could connect to her to find out, but it drove the last guy crazy, so So I don't know, like the episode is fine. It moves along at a brisk pace. There's some interesting texture there, and there's some nice action in it. It's not as often that we get to see the team really let loose. in terms of using all of their various weaponry and everything. But just the same, it all still felt a little bit like this was is a little bit more slapdash than most episodes and not as thinky. So not one of my favorites, but it's fine. And so yeah, that is Unequal Terrorist, Not Equal. So next week we'll be talking about episode 14, which is another standalone episode. We have several more of those in a row before we get any more Laughing Man case. We had the big break, the last one of those. So the next one is called Automated Capitalism. So I'll be back next week to talk about that. But here's the thing: if you only watch these, although I'd be a little bit surprised, please, by all means, if you watch these but not the rest of my videos, tell me that. I would be really interested to find that out. In any event, though, what I've been doing this week is improvising a song every day this week, so about whatever I talked about. So let's see. We've come to this island to find a girl, the missing girl from somewhere in the world. We're coming in soft with all our guns. We hope that it's gonna be some fun. Action episode, action episode, action episode, action episode. We're finally gonna shoot these guns. And it's gonna be an action episode. All right, so I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for 5 more minutes.